In southern Mississippi, just about 100 miles from the Gulf of Mexico, stocker cattle are out grazing on ryegrass at BR Cattle Company.
We are third generation cattle producers. My grandfather started a purebred Charolais business 50 years ago, and my dad decided to get into the stocker business about 30 years ago. We background cattle, stocker cattle. We buy them anywhere from 200 to 500-600 pounds, and we keep them for a period of time, and then we sell them from there.
Though the Deep South might seem like a perfect environment for raising stocker cattle, there are several threats that can make it a challenge to keep the animals healthy and growing.
Earlier this week it was 28, and then this weekend it might get as high as 75, and that's tough on the cattle. Any cattle we're buying this week, the health on those it's tough.
The southeastern U.S. is actually the parasite haven of the world, right? Because of our environment. It's warm, it's moist, and that's what parasites generally, as a rule of thumb, really like, okay? So, we have an exceptionally high challenge with internal parasites, but it doesn't mean it's not manageable. If we do the right things at the right time, then we can actually manage the parasite loads that we're facing. Parasites do basically three different things, right? The biggest thing they do is reduce feed intake, okay, or forage intake. The thing about it, a parasite is a parasitized animal will actually eat less than a non-parasitized animal. Second thing is when you stop taking in the groceries or the calories, right, you're going to see a drop in production, whether that production is in the form of weight gain, reproductive efficiency, or milk production. You're going to see a drop there. The third thing they do is they alter the immune response. So if you get a real vigorous response to the parasites, you're probably not going to get a real good, or cannot get a real good response to viral disease or viral vaccine.
So in the past, we've noticed that the parasites can affect feed intake and conversion rates, and so we have then obviously taken on programs, Safeguard being one of them, and things of that nature to try and curb some of that. And it is obviously it's worked, and it's improved our feed conversion rates and been able for the cattle to put on more weight faster.
Dr. Newcomb says the timing of a deworming program is key to success, getting cattle dewormed just as grass begins to grow in the spring. In addition, because resistance to dewormers is increasingly a problem, producers need to consider using more than one class of dewormer at the same time.
Over the past 2 years, we have been using a program that involves, on first processing arrival, using Safeguard drench along with a injectable ivermectin product. We call it double worming, and it has allowed us to not have to go back into the pasture and reworm all those cattle for the period of time that we're keeping them. We do some feed additive deworming, but we're not going back and gathering those cattle, running them all back to the chute.
There's a form of Safeguard for every producer. It's going to be the drench. We have a mineral. We have a 1.96% feed-through, blocks. All those are very efficacious. In other words, they all tend to work very well. And like I said, the Merck Animal Health Database would tend to prove that out. And so we would say, if you've got doubts about that, go ahead and do it, and let's do a fecal egg count reduction test and prove it to yourself that it worked.
So another way that we know that our parasite control program was working is that we have done some fecal sample testing. Merck has helped us with that, and the results that we've gotten back have all come back, zero or negligent amounts. And most of the cattle we've tested, obviously, are after we have already wormed them, and everything has been on the up and up. Look good.
Merck Animal Health maintains a fecal egg count reduction test database, and what we're looking at is the efficacy on all these products. And the reason that's so important is because anthelmintic resistance or dewormer resistance is now an emerging issue within the U.S. cattle industry, okay? I don't think anybody has a real good grasp on just how bad it is, but what we're trying to do is figure out what's going on and try and basically kind of look into the future and see what's coming and see how we can delay or use these products more responsibly. So we're trying to be a responsible partner to the producer.
So for those looking to improve their cattle health and performance, what are the keys to remember when it comes to dealing with internal parasites?
As a producer and a veterinarian, to get the maximum efficacy out of an anthelmintic program, then what I want to see you do is to, number one, use these classes in combination, okay? Number two, I want you to give the correct dose at the correct time. Number three, I want you to go in and do a fecal egg count reduction test so you can check the efficacy of it. And then number four, you need to be working with a veterinarian to develop an anthelmintic or deworming program for your operation that meets your goals.
How do we know it's working well? Our parasite control program would be that our weights have increased some, our finishing weights, and then along with that, our turnover time. So these cattle were background and we're not having to keep them as long because they're converting faster. A lot to do with our parasite control program.
In southern Mississippi, I'm Brian Baxter reporting for NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman.